Hello everybody, Ray for the Nash on the McAllen Cable Network here at the North Wastewater Treatment Plant. I'm joined today for another edition of Inside the PUB by McAllen Public Utility General Manager Roy Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This plant upgrade where we are right now is almost complete. $43 million project?
Almost $43 million. We were awarded a little over $43 million. Luckily our bids came in low back in 2009. The final number that we were awarded was about $39 million. It's basically a whole new facility. We were running an 8 MGD plant through here, a plant that was capable of treating 8 million gallons a day of wastewater. That plant is now a technologically advanced brand new plant that will be capable of treating 15 million gallons per day at some point. There are some things that we'd have to do that, but
so we almost doubled our capacity here.
Basically almost double our capacity. And the good news about that is that this is a project that had been planned for many years. In fact, we selected the engineer back in 2004, and so we were ready to move forward with this when we found out of possible environmental or EPA funding through ERA, and we were able to fund this project with 0% money. So it was a huge advantage for our ratepayers.
All right, if you could recap just real briefly what happens out here.
Well, you know, most folks don't know what happens to their wastewater, you know, after you take a shower or when you flush the toilet or when you use the sink, and most of them don't want to know.
But well, this is where it ends up.
The truth of the matter is that it goes into a pretty complicated system that comes out of your home or your business into a network of pipes and lift stations that ultimately ends up at this wastewater treatment plant. And that water, wastewater that comes in here must be treated through state and federal regulations before we discharge it into a stream.
All right, very cool. We have, I noticed on the grounds here, we have 2 odor prevention towers, right? Right.
Part of the design of this wastewater treatment plant was to ensure that we did everything that we could to control odor. Just the nature of what happens at this facility will tell anyone that you're going to have odor issues. And we're very sensitive to that, you know, to our neighboring community, to our citizens, to our businesses. So we had quite a substantial amount of money included in this project for odor control. And you would see those over at the towers at the beginning of the plant.
Another feature about this plant which I find interesting is the ultraviolet disinfection, which is where we are now. Explain to us how that works. You pretty much eliminated chlorine, right?
Correct. Traditionally, chlorine is used to disinfect the water. It's basically at the end of the process of wastewater treatment. And we need to make sure that we disinfect the water, that there's no pathogens in there, and that it meets state and federal regulations. And again, most of the time, chlorine gas is used for that treatment or that disinfection, much like we use it at the water treatment plants. What we did here is that we're eliminating the need and use of chlorine gas, and we're using this technology, which is ultraviolet lighting. And that ultraviolet rays basically disinfect the water before it goes into our stream.
And that eliminates the potential for any chlorine type accident, right?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, the chances are that you're not going to have a problem with chlorine. It's very infrequent anywhere in the country that it happens, but it can happen. And it's part of our risk management plan that we have to have a certain protocol to ensure that we know exactly what to do in the case of a leak or a burst of one of those cylinders. Well, that eliminates all of that risk, and this is a very advanced technology that eliminates a lot of those problems.
All right, once the water's treated, it goes back out here, and you guys actually get to sell it, right, to power plants or other businesses, right?
That's right. We've had a contract with Calpine, a power plant that's here in our neighboring city of Edinburgh, and we have had that since the late 90s. So we're doing it with chlorine. We're doing it now with ultraviolet, and we sell about 4 million gallons of water per day.
Wow.
For their power plants. They use it for cooling their towers. So, you know, it's a real win-win situation for us. You know, not only do we treat the water and make sure that it meets the standards, but then we go back and resell it.
All right. We're going to take this opportunity as well to talk to you about other projects that PUB has going on in the city of McAllen. One that comes to mind is the Bowie Reservoir. We saw the construction of the new facility, but the old Bowie Reservoir, we noticed, still has water, and we wanted to ask you what the plans are for that.
Yeah, that was a pretty awesome project. Also, not as costly as this one. Not all the technology that we have here, but a real project that engineers would like, because we're actually moving the reservoir that feeds our South Water Treatment Plant 3 miles away. So not only do you have to go build a new reservoir, but you got to build the pipeline to it, build all of the pumping capacity into the reservoir and out. We were lucky enough to be able to design it in a way that most of the water from that new reservoir is fed to the plant through gravity. We don't have to pump it, so that's an energy savings that we have. However, when you've got water at the elevation that we want it, when the reservoir is full, then you've got to pump it to get it in there. That project is basically complete. We're still doing, little things here and there, but the truth of the matter is that we've been feeding water to the south plant from that reservoir for several months now. In fact, you may recall we asked our citizens to kind of conserve water for a little while, a week or two, when we were making that transition some time back. But it's been operational. It's a great project that we were able to complete, and we are using the old reservoir. That's a good point, to the South Water Treatment Plant. And this is basically what happened. When the new reservoir became operational, we were already looking at, the city anyway, was looking at how to develop the area that is now the old Bowie Reservoir. And, in meeting with the city management staff, we decided that it was probably a good idea to have as many options available as possible. And one of those options has to be that the developer, whoever develops that area, may want a water feature as part of his development. And it may be an acre that he wants, it may be 5, maybe 10, we don't know. And so for us to go over there and cover that lake up without exploring that option would have probably been a mistake. So, I commend all of those folks at the city that came to us and said, hey, we need to look at some options for the reservoir. So we tweaked the design a little bit that would allow us to be able to fill and drain that reservoir. If we need it as part of the development, we keep it, and if we don't, we fill it up the way we planned originally. It doesn't cost us anything.
So it's a win-win for the city. We could use it for extra capacity, or we could use it as an option for developers.
Absolutely. Every project that we do, we try to do the best project that we can within our means. It's not any different than, you and our citizens trying to have a budget at home. We would have liked to have had a reservoir that was 5 times the size that we build, but we can't afford it. And so the luxury that we have right now is that we have a new 300 million gallon reservoir and the old 180 million. I see very little negatives to that. So we're very safe when it comes to storage right now. And when the day comes that we make the decision on what we do with that reservoir, we'll be ready to do it, and we'll be able to go either way.
Very good. Another project that's nearing completion as well is the 29th Street project, the Sanitary Sewer project south of STC that extends to the Expressway 83 frontage road. Talk to us about what's left to do there.
That project has been phased out. We actually did Benson Road back in about 2005. That was a huge sewer line that went down Benson Road. Then we paved it and curbed and guttered and all that. Then we brought that sewer line across the new convention center and then south to the wastewater treatment plant with a new line all the way down there. Well, part of the plan was to bring 29th Street and connect to that there at the expressway. And it's a very large gravity sewer that will eliminate 29th and Ebony lift station. In fact, it has already eliminated that lift station. That was a very big lift station that processed almost 4 million gallons a day of wastewater through that lift station to the plant. It has been ongoing now for about a year. I got to commend our citizens for being patient with us. It was a very deep line, complicated line, and we're finishing that up. We should be paving that roadway in the next 30 days or so and completely be out of there. we will no longer have maintenance issues anywhere south of Ebony, all the way to the wastewater treatment plant, basically, other than the Balboa lift station. No more maintenance issues for us because we're all gravity through there.
Right, and traffic is, the road is open to traffic for the extent of the project, right?
The road is completely open right now. We'll be closing lanes as we're paving the roadway. Again, you know, I can't reiterate enough the thanks and the gratitude that we should show our citizens for their patience there. You know, we got some calls, we got complaints about road closures, and we understand that. But for the most part, the citizens in the area were very accommodating, and we're happy to say that we're about finished out there.
Very good. Any other projects that you guys may have on the drawing board that you're currently working on that you'd like to share with the citizens right now?
Well, you know, we're going through the budget, much like the city is, and we're about to complete that budget. We always have capital improvements in that plan. We're always rehabilitating lift stations. You know, the Public Utility Board, that elected body, has had this vision for decades now that you don't wait until a problem demands that it get corrected. They're always trying to stay ahead of the curve, and our new budget is doing that also. We're going to have a couple of projects that we'll talk about in the future once we get them approved. But construction is basically in our blood in this city, and that's because we're always trying to stay ahead of those needs.
All right, and we're always growing. And you know what? We commend you and your organization for reaching out to the public. You're doing events like Night Outs, where you're trying to connect with citizens to get them involved with what you guys are doing. So that's a very positive thing that you guys are doing in the community. Yeah,
you know, we try to balance these two things. You know, we don't like to be out in the public too much. You know, utilities are usually not something that you talk about. And when the public is not talking about utilities, that's a good thing.
They're not having
issues. That means they're not having problems, they're not having issues. However, you know, this is a big organization, and what we want is to be out in the public enough so that at least a few things happen. One is that they understand what we do, and two is that they also understand that we're here to serve them. As a public entity, it is our duty to ensure that we're providing the best services and the best customer services that we possibly can. And you know, that takes a little risk because you got to go out there and expose, you know, some of the things that you do, but that's what we're here to do. You know, we want to make sure that our customers know that our doors are open to them, and we're here to serve them.
Very good. And we should mention that you're not only on the web, you're also on Facebook. And if somebody has questions, they'd like to reach out to you and ask you some questions, where would they call?
Well, our main number is 681-1600. We always post the number for the billing. You know, usually it's about a water issue, about your water bill or water out or so, and so on. But if it's general questions, they can call our office there at City Hall, 681-1600. And we're there. We're there to serve them.
All right. Very good. Anything else we should mention?
No, thank you for having us here, and we look forward to being here again.
All right. Roy Rodriguez, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. As always, we thank you for watching. I'm Ray Pedraza, and this is the McAllen Cable Network for Inside the PUB.